The following is a presentation of the Best Station. The views and comments made in the following program do not necessarily represent the views and comments of the Best Station.
Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology. We have the capability to make the world's first bionic man.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Comicasters, Issue 6. I am your co-host, MC Brown, along with
Derek Ross.
And special guests here. We have joining us here from Phoenix Comicon. We have
Dan Quiroga
from Geeks Rising. And
Michael Bernstein from Critical Threat Comics and Games.
We want to thank both of you guys for joining us here on a special edition. Conspicuous by his absence, our co-host Colt Hudson, who will be joining us on the next issue for sure. But we're happy to have you two as a guest, and we appreciate you joining us for a special edition. Yes, thank you. We did a couple panels here at Comic-Con, so we're recording here after them, and we're going to be discussing some hot topics, some stuff we promised to deliver on this issue 6. So we're going to get right into it. As always, we can be reached at Comicasters on Twitter and Instagram, facebook.com/Comicasters. As always, under the great guise of our producer, good friend Craig Best. He can also be reached facebook.com/TheBestStation, and all of our shows are archived on thebeststation.net, where if you click on the link, Comicasters is right there, and all of our shows are archived. So a lot of fun, and we're going to get right into this stuff, folks, and we appreciate you joining us. So we got a couple questions from fans, and we're going to be open forum to all of us here. So the first one is from a direct message from Antihero7127. This gentleman or gentlewoman says, the hot topic on the table, folks. Hail Hydra Cap, good or bad for the comic industry? Michael, what do you think?
I don't even know if it's good or bad for the comic industry. It's clearly a gimmick.
Yeah.
We all know he's not going to stay Hydra. It's going to be an implanted memory, or it's going to be some situation is going to bring him back. And I just don't see why it was necessary. So, it got everyone talking, so I guess it did their job. People probably went out and bought it to see what's going on.
That's true, yeah. That's what Stan Lee, I believe, is referencing and saying for sure. It's, getting people on board. What do you think, Dan?
Well, primarily, it's a machination that's always been within the industry of Marvel. Stan Lee has always, how should I put this, instituted the idea of taking what-if scenarios from all over and seeing where everything was placed. What if, like this whole thing with Thor, just for example, the idea of him losing his honor of carrying Mjolnir and being presented to Jane Foster.
Yeah.
That's a road that nobody ever expected going right there. And now you got this thing about Cap going the other side altogether from the side he's always hated and fought against
supposedly
for
always
decades
been
on
that
end.
Way. Yeah, always been that way. This is what they're saying.
And now he's looking to serve Hydra itself. It's situation unspeakable for the the adoring Cap fans who always appreciated him as being the good soldier. But I think it's a good direction because it allows you to take a step back, look at it, and see how we would actually handle it.
Yeah, it's a unique story, obviously, one that's never been done, for sure. What do you think, Derek?
Well, I think there's a balance between both. You have, obviously, the marketing aspect of it, which, as people are pulled into a story, they're going to watch more films and they're going to buy more Marvel memorabilia.
Ideally.
Yeah, that's the goal and the hope. But then, like you were saying, with the sort of conflict there of Captain America holding himself in a Hydra position, it brings a lot of intrigue there, and it really develops the story. And like you were saying about the what ifs, it takes us down a path that we haven't been before, and and we get to explore the sort of a darker side to Captain America than we might have otherwise.
For sure. Good points. I think just at this point, you have the natural, questions. How are they going to get out of this?
Yeah.
And that's, I think, when you kill characters, specifically, which we're going back to the controversies, like, why'd they kill Superman, and then the death of Superman, they're going crazy. It's the same thing. It's eliciting the same response, the outrage of the fans, and some of them you just go on and hope the outrage is accompanying them buying the comic to read it, because obviously that's what needs to happen for them to understand and get them hooked.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of controversy from people that I've heard, having friends in the Jewish community, that they are very against it because the creators of Captain America were Jewish, and making their basically brainchild end up working for a Nazi science agency is kind of a slap in the face to the Jewish community. And while I can completely and totally see that viewpoint, I don't think that that's what Nick Spencer had in mind.
Marvel's quick to jump down and say this is not a Nazi. This is, obviously it's Hydra, the different terrorist organization.
What you're looking at is that you have to look at Hydra as its own organization entirely. Yeah. It was Nazi-esque in nature because it was associated in World War II. Yeah. But it's like the same thing with, Todd McFarlane and his creation of the Spawn universe. You mean you don't actually have the Prince of Darkness. You have Malvolger, an incarnation of what is supposedly the devil, but not exactly. And then you don't have exactly representations of the archangels and God himself within the Spawn universe. You have alternate representations of these characters in order to make a different universe in itself, and to potentially, some would say it would be to potentially not offend, religious, fans that are, the Catholic or Judeo-Christian.
The angels are pretty vicious in there, and in some ways portrayed as villains to Spawn, who would be your obviously protagonist in his series. So that's a good point. It's definitely one.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, the one thing that's important, I think, to look at this, to wrap this up, is just wait for the story to unfold. And I think the natural reaction for emotional fans is attack it right away. But there's, as you said, Nick Spencer's defense, there's a story to be told, so let it unfold, and then we'll see what happens. Obviously there's clearly upset fan base, but it's like you don't want them to stop reading and protest, but let it play out and give us, and I think that's what it gets people talking, which is good, but hopefully just not so much in a negative way to attack community.
I would like to say that I do think the idea is stupid personally. I think it's a dumb idea, but
it may not last, depending on if they lose sales, I guess.
There are bad ideas that happen all the time. Yeah. So we'll just see where this one takes us.
It could be any worse. When you look at the fact that there have been some really crazy ideas, like certain flavors of, let's say, kryptonite, in the fact of Superman making him take on very unusual behaviors, and I'm like, okay, that kind of throws things off quite a bit.
Very stretch,
along the lines of that what if kind of scenario. This is one of those situations where I guess you can say, what if Cap didn't believe anything that he believed? It's like the same situation. You could be like, what if Peter Parker actually killed Uncle Ben?
No, that's really pushing.
All right.
Could this? It's a good point. Could this have just been saved for a miniseries? What if?
Yeah, and I would have seen that. But as far as that's his actual character's backstory in this new Marvel Cinematic Universe, I don't know if I agree with that extent of it.
And of course, at this point, I think they're going to try to defend it and say, oh, it has this. But I think, like you said, at the start, it's a gimmick.
Yep.
I think you have to look at it that, and Captain America is not going to be Captain Hydra for the rest of his, or Steve Rogers, I should say, since Falcon is Captain America.
He's always pulled himself away, because look, you already had his death, his resurrection, and then you had one arc where he's been depowered by the Iron Nail of his super soldier serum abilities. And now you're having him portray
Well, then he gets it back again.
Yeah, he gets him back
again in the standoff series, which actually wasn't. It was actually pretty.
He got it back, right?
Yeah, he got his powers back from a child reincarnation of the Tesseract. It was not an awful. It was a pretty good event as far as like mid-season events go.
Interesting. Well, that's good discussion. Thank you, Anti-Hero 7127. Another follow-up question, something we were talking about actually off there, but it's actually a great discussion here. At Thor Odinson Forever, and Dan was talking about this earlier. When do you think the real Thor will return? Or will he, I guess, is a good question. I don't know if Derek, you want to start us off on this one?
Well, honestly, I have no idea. From what I understand, he is supposedly in prison somewhere, and a prison strong enough to hold Thor is probably a pretty solid place. One of the things that we were talking about here earlier in the panel was the negative zone, and I really have no idea. I look at the movies too from a marketing perspective. Yeah. Thor did really well in the first film, and then the second film didn't do very well, and the third film was tough.
Or the third one to come, right? Yeah, it was Ragnarok. Right?
Yeah. So that might be an issue bringing him back because there's not enough money behind it. Although the Marvel films all make pretty good money, there seems to be more money in like a Deadpool or something like that.
Do you think, personally, do you think Jane Foster should stay Thor in the comic and have the female Thor, or do you want to see the original return? I mean, is that something that's, maybe not keeping you up at night, but
yeah.
is that something, it's change, obviously, in the Marvel Universe, but sometimes people are like, the classic version is, it's got to stay, or he has to come back eventually?
I'd like to see him come back as the original Thor. But then again, you have these major changes, and it brings new fans into the fandom when you do that, which has proved good in a lot of ways. I mean, like if you look at Suicide Squad with making Deadshot played by Will Smith, that's a pretty big change. He's always been, a white guy with a mustache, A
Caucasian rich boy.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what his history will be in the movie, but as far as financially, but yeah, he just was, that's who he was, and he was emulating Batman. I don't know how much they're going to keep of that. Yeah, that's
right.
It was a bit safer, though, to actually do it that way, simply because there's no direct continuity for Deadshot. Deadshot has always been fully clothed head to toe in the DC animated universe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
and
true.
He's only been represented, and once as a Caucasian character in Arrow, as Floyd
Right.
Lawton. And that's
Well, they showed him in JLU. He actually was in the Task Force X episode. He was out of his.
He was out of his
he
uniform.
was out of
Okay, so he
uniform,
was
too.
also okay.
I mean, no, in the Batman animated ones, they'd have. His
Oh yeah,
hat.
that's right. He was shown. Yeah,
But
that's right.
Yeah,
Floyd
it's just
Lawton.
like I don't know if we'll see the Jane Foster version in the movies. To get back to the question, but
I would like to make a comment about. So I mean, I've been following the current Thor comics, and they're alluding to him coming back.
Yeah.
Like they're kind of telling a story right now from Loki's perspective about like old Odinson, and before that they showed him imprisoned. I don't quite remember by who, or if they even said by who, but I would like the idea of, there's a few ways I think they could bring him back. Like if him and Jane shared the hammer, that could be an option. Or it's not out of the question for
Actually, reasonable.
that could happen. Or I mean, someone could even forge another weapon of some sort for.
Like Beta Ray
specific,
Bill,
yeah, like
kinda?
someone
Yeah.
like Beta Ray
that's
Bill
what I
kind
was
of
thinking.
thing.
Maybe he should just steal it from Ray to Ray Real, but that then he would be
Uh-huh.
unworthy of any character.
Yeah, but I really
Or Beta Ray Bill.
Jane Foster as Thor is very good. She what she brings to the universe, regardless of her being a female, the reaction that she has basically gotten from Asgard is Odin basically has called her like a traitor, and like she stole the hammer, and it's a really cool play on something that originally started as just, hey, how cool would it be to just have Thor in a comic? Like,
Yeah.
it's become something else, and I like that. It's not like they said Odinson's gone like forever,
Yeah.
but I do like that they're switching up.
That's
things.
true. I mean, it hadn't been done, a female Thor, but it's like the key to keeping it a good idea and fresh is to have good writing, obviously.
Right.
So that's what's key. I mean,
And Jason Aaron is doing a very, very good job.
that's good. That's good. Dan, what did you think? I know you off there. You had some thoughts on it. I mean, what do you think? Do you think Thor? Do you agree? He should return sooner rather than later? I mean, what do you
The
think?
thing of it is that, you know, with all of Marvel's properties, there seems to be some, how should I say this? Some homeostatic point for all of the characters where they're going to return to some state of normalcy.
Yeah.
They're never going to stay apart from who they are. I mean, they're bringing back Peter Parker, for crying out loud, to play Spider-Man again.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, Odin's son to become Thor again is not too far behind.
Yeah, that's safe to say, I think. You know, so we got to go, gentlemen, to our first station break. Before we do that, I'm going to do one of our regular segments here on the Comicasters, and that's the Riddle Me This. So what I'm going to do is give 3 clues to our listeners, and when we come back after our station break, I will do the reveal. When we come back, we got some big things planned, some big stuff promised. We're going to discuss 2 Marvel movies, one by Disney, one by Fox, Civil War and X-Men Apocalypse, which all of us have seen, so it's going to be exciting and be an interesting discussion. So let's go straight to the Riddle Me This. There are 3 versions of me in the Marvel Universe. I am one of a handful of Avengers who has been married. I was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and born in New York City. Riddle me this. We will find out when we come back. You are listening to thebeststation.net, home of the best station, the best music for the best audience. Now featuring the best podcasts for the best audience. With such podcasts as The Fast Pitch, starring MC Brown and Dr. Eric Lenneberg, covering any and all related MLB news and current events. And now featuring the Comicasters, starring MC Brown, Colt Hudson, and Derek Ross. On location for comic book conventions, reviewing comic book trades and collections, and anything and all related comic book movies, news, and events. This is a presentation of thebeststation.net. The best station, the best music for the best audience.
Somewhere up top, downtown, another Rice Krispies crisis for Snap, Crackle, and Pop. Thank you, whoever you are. As long as there's Rice Krispies, there'll be Snap, Crackle, and Pop.
Live at Phoenix Comicon this Saturday, June 4th. Be sure to check out Lexi and her new band, Poison Ivy, at the free block party on Adams Street. Lexi will be dressed as Wonder Woman as you wonder how she's so skilled with the act. That's this Saturday at the block party on Adams Street at Phoenix Comicon. Don't miss it.
And we are back here on Comicasters Issue 6, here with our special guests, Michael Bernstein and Dan, how do you say their name? Quiroga, and along with regularly returning Derek Ross, who has been on assignment, so we're great to have him back as well. So we're going to give the Riddle Me This, folks. So you had any stabs before we give the reveal? What do you guys think? You stump you a little bit, or what? So we're going to reveal this to you, none other, created by Stan Lee, the great Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. She has been married. Now you know it's a she, and there are 3 versions of her in the Marvel Universe, none other than the Wasp. Yeah. The Wasp is the Riddle Me This. Did you get it? You know, let us know. Give us some feedback. We're going to jump right into it, guys. We got 2 movies to review that we promised that we're a little bit behind on, but we're going to jump right into them. First, we're going to discuss, and we did it a panel earlier, but we're going to discuss our own personal thoughts here on Civil War. Obviously, we're going to get into it a little bit. So, I mean, just plot and cast-wise, we'll start with Dan on this one. Plot, cast, what did you think of Civil War?
Very well done. I mean, it took it from a different angle. I mean, everybody goes by, every good comic book fan that's a fan of Marvel usually goes by the lore of the Superhero Registration Act file. I think it was a good approach to maybe making it different with the Sokovia.
Yeah. The Sokovia Files, yeah.
Sokovia Files, and then basically this whole approach where they find the Scarlet Witch, the weakest link in the chain of the group, making the mistake that costs them this initially was a unique approach, because I think it was actually a good growth factor for her as a character to grow into the character, because she was thrown into this whole situation by the encouragements of Hawkeye to become a hero, and it's every character I think has a story to tell, and I think that's what made it good for that part.
Yeah.
The way it was, I was very impressed by the way they flip-sided everything. Normally we see Tony Stark, a dedicated man to his tech, his company, his business, but keeping his own, how should I say this, separation of church and state from government, from his own business and his own tech.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll license it to you, I'll sell it to you, but you stay out of my business. And now he's finding himself at odds with his guilt over the use of the corruption of Ultron and the mess it's created, the stealing, security breaching of his tech by governments and Hydra alike.
Yeah.
Forcing him to take up the idea that maybe he needs to follow these protocols in the Sokovia Files, and
A lot of guilt, I think, on Tony's part.
yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
And I think it's really great. And then this whole thing where the captain decides freedom for everyone, no one should be under the government's thumb, was very surprising. I mean, I've always seen Captain as a good soldier, do your part, listen to Uncle Sam, you know, you're going to be a good person, you're going to go to heaven, you know, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You know.
It created, I think...
Good flip side.
Yeah, it created a different dynamic. And in our last issue we had discussed with our special guest, Dr. Eric Lenneberg, we actually discussed the comic side of Team Cap and Team Iron Man. But, I mean, you have made some good points, Michael, who will ask about their different catalysts, because, as Dan mentioned, Scarlet Witch, instead of the New Warriors from the comics, for this version of Civil War. How did you feel this plot played out? Because it certainly made maybe a little bit more understanding from Iron Man's side, which to the fans that didn't get to be at the panel here at Phoenix Comicon, you were very pro-Tony, and it was an interesting approach because it gave a different viewpoint, and Tony wasn't just villainized as usual.
My whole thing with that argument is Tony, he gets vilified a bit in particularly the comics, a little bit less so in the movie, but the big thing you have to really take away is that he didn't want any of this to happen. And he's looking at it from all viewpoints as opposed to just the Avengers viewpoints. So his really big issue is this is going to happen. And it's going to happen with or without us. So we might as well make it as painless as possible, and the more we resist, the more they're going to resent us, and the more they resent us, the more they're going to fear us, and the more they fear us, the more they're going to come after us. So it doesn't stem from him wanting, like in the comics, he doesn't want people to have to register their secret identities, but he feels guilty and thinks that someone needs to put a leash on them, because clearly they can't do it themselves. And he doesn't like that this has happened. It's not like he wants it to happen. He didn't want Ultron to do this, but he realizes how powerful they've become and agrees that there needs to be something put in place, and that's what the Sokovia Accords really do. And, I mean, I completely understand Cap's side where I don't want to be a governmental lackey. I don't want them telling me where I can and can't go, who I can and can't save. And my argument to that every time is, I understand that he doesn't want to be dishonest, but what is the problem with playing the politics side and just sign the Sokovia Accords? If you sign the Sokovia Accords and further down the line, the UN, which 117 countries are telling you, we need you to be held accountable, and you're saying, nah, I think I know better than 117 other distinct, unique countries. Yeah. What's saying down the line, say they want you to go somewhere and you don't agree, or you think you need to go somewhere and they don't want you to, sign them now. And if that situation does happen, if that worst case scenario does happen, then disobey.
Right.
But give the people what they want at this point. That's what you've always been about, Cap. You've always been about, I'm here for the little guy, I'm here for the citizens. And in the comic and in the movie, he is putting himself above 117 other countries whose citizens want him to be held accountable.
I think this Cap has got a different viewpoint of the government and maybe mistrustful because of the infiltration into S.H.I.E.L.D., which would cause him to do that. I mean, the one thing that makes Tony not quite the villain too is clearly they have dialogue in the movie that he says to Cap, let's do this now and we'll rewrite it later. Yeah. That key point kind of, you can see then what Tony's saying, just get on board so we can let this die down because this is a fresh wound.
Yeah.
On Cap's side, he was like, the corruption, where are they going to send me? Where are they going to send us next as a group, not just as him? He wants a group to be united on this, and that makes it a tough thing because that's what splits everybody in it. You got the
which
one
is
side.
ironic because, if he wants them to stay together, then maybe he should just go along with the Accords. It would make more sense. And it costs them, like you were saying, Michael, it costs them nothing now. Yep. Like, it's just words on paper. Yeah, exactly. And what are they going to do? Like, if Captain America decides to later on say, no, I want to do this, are they going to stop him? Yeah, like, really?
What I think also, Ben, and I think also MC and Mike, is that...
Or Derek.
I'm Derek, I'm sorry. Okay. Tony can play his hand to tone things down eventually because, he's one of the world's biggest billionaires. He's got away with politics and business to play the game, let things blow over, then gradually get it worn down to where they have a little more creative liberty on what gets said in the protocol, and then to the point where. And then bigger dangers are always going to arise, and they're going to say, okay, we're going to need to undo this leash.
I think one of the main, issues, we didn't maybe get to touch upon it. We did a little bit in the panel, was obviously Cap's attachment. The main threat at the time, because he was set up by Baron Zemo, that Winter Soldier was doing these things, but it was really Zemo behind it. So that makes Cap, this is pressing concern. Bucky, Winter Soldier is a threat. I can't protect Bucky under this, Sokovia Accord.
Because they're going to lock him up.
They're going to lock him, or worse, or they're shooting to kill. So his main thing with that is he's trying to avoid, his buddy, his childhood buddy, who he knows has been brainwashed, not doing these things freely. When he was, doing Winter Soldiers as doing Hydra's bidding, he wants to protect Bucky. He loves Bucky like a brother, and that's his. I think what Tony could say, that's clouding his judgment. Yeah, he's protecting his own, which I think then ties into we can protect our own, we can police ourselves.
And something else I didn't get to touch on in the panel itself is the motivation. As we were saying with Bucky, the motivations and the reasons behind why both Tony and Cap make their decisions are completely different.
Yeah. Right.
One line that really stuck out to me in the movie was after the whole actual Civil War fight and they're flying away in the Quinjet, Bucky asks Cap, he's like, so a lot of your friends just got arrested, like, what are you going to do about it? And he's like, I don't know, but I'll handle it. And that really just sums up everything that he's been doing. He has no idea what he's doing. He's just reacting and reacting and reacting. and he's not thinking about what he's doing. He's just doing it. Whereas Tony is always thinking, what is, like, at this point, what's happening? What is this going to do now in the future? After Ultron, he realized that he can't just do things.
Oh, yeah.
Because
he's an engineer. He thinks analytically.
Yeah.
So he's trying to think 2 steps.
Yeah, that's why I
ahead of
think
everything right
and
there.
you had said this at the panel, he almost wants this to police himself from doing things that maybe his natural inclination would be to do. But like Cap's saying, like, well, Cap knows, like, hey, I know what I'm going to do. Maybe Tony feels I need to have somebody watching me, and Cap.
Yeah, I think I think also Tony looks at it in a, we were talking about how he feels all that guilt, and so his motivation is to basically protect himself from doing the wrong. So I mean, at this point, if he signs the Sokovia Accords and everything goes according to plan, he can say, okay, well, I went and did this thing, but it was under their leadership, and so, like, I'm not really at fault if it goes wrong, and so that protects him from future massacres on his name, and so he doesn't have to, meet the woman by the elevator again and say, he can just throw up his hands and say, look, I did what I was told, nothing more, nothing less.
I think one of the problems, though, that does kind of make Tony, disagree with, as far as like as Tony Stark, is that he hid the creation of Ultron behind his, behind their back. So, he thought he was doing right, and it was really, and so, yeah, does he need that? He might. Cap maybe's contention. Well, here I have SHIELD, who they're telling me, SHIELD was created by his friend Peggy Carter, who's telling me this is a great organization. They've been infiltrated all along by this villainous Hydra, who he's been fighting, in his earlier part of his life before he was frozen. And then now this, Tony has made a mistake and stuff. It's like, Cap probably wants to think from the point, like, I can trust myself, I can lead this group, a team, and we can do this ourselves, where Iron Man is probably thinking, like, we need to be, policed, and that's where their contentions are going. They do a great job in the film, going through the cast, as obviously all-star cast. And it's just,
Tom Holland, my boy.
Tom Holland. We talked to
Spider-Man.
the fans. Mostly, we only have one guy. Only one guy who was against him.
Why is Peter Parker a teenager? Because he's a teenager.
Yeah, I mean,
literally,
he's literally a teenager.
I
He's
think
in high school.
Exactly.
I think that's a good way to go. I mean, Aunt May being sexy threw me for a little.
Threw me.
A big loop, but it was a very well appreciated.
I love Marissa Tomei, so I'm
Yes,
not going
me
to
too.
complain. But
Clubs of Beverly Hills, I was like, marry me. Ladies.
It definitely gave a nice. It was very funny seeing Tony interact with her. It was enjoyable.
I seriously enjoyed that.
Yeah, never in our wildest dreams would Aunt May stir our loins.
Yeah, right.
I would have never have thought that going into the film. Very twists, obviously. We can get into this next part of it for everybody, because this will probably be one of them. So just to throw it then, OMG moment of the movie. What do you think, Dirk?
I did really like where you had the big battle on the airstrip. Yeah. And you've got Spider-Man throwing his webs around, and he's making Hawkman look, or
Hawkeye.
Not Hawkeye.
Falcon.
Thank you. He's making him look stupid, and he's like, "Where are you from?" He's like, "Oh man, this is so cool! Like, I just got to meet Tony Stark," and he's going crazy, and he's like, "This is so awesome! I can't believe I'm here!" And he's just wrecking like the rest of the Avengers, and I'm watching this. I'm like, yeah, this is how superhero movies should be. Like, you get that sense of like
wonder.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, this is a kid who gets to experience the time of his life, and he's doing good, and he's meeting his heroes, and this is what every kid watching the movie or reading the comic is thinking, I could be that guy. Yeah. And so that for me, like, encapsulates the spirit of the comics. And so I really loved it, and it was funny too. I mean, he's always snarky,
A lot of fun quips in it. Yeah, definitely. What do you think, Michael? As far as OMG moment, what would you say for you?
So, having read the comic and kind of knowing at least where they were headed, the entire movie I was sitting there like waiting for Sharon Carter to turn around and put one in Cap's head, and they had me going. Like when they talked about having all those other Winter Soldiers, I was like, oh, Sharon Carter is 100% one of those Winter Soldiers. And I'm very rarely do movies like are movies able to like lead me down one path and then flip me. And then when we show up and he just killed them, I was like, wait, does that mean that Sharon Carter is not? And then I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that was probably my OMG moment was.
Not having her do that.
Not having her do that. And I was like, because every time I saw her speak, I was just like, what? Where is it? I'm looking for something for you to slip, and you're not. And I'm like,
that's a good point. Yeah, because they did the love interest, but yeah, obviously we know how Civil War ends with Cap's death, the comic version. It just, I wanted to see those Winter Soldiers. I understand the way they didn't. Obviously, I wouldn't have them do that after the reveal of Winter Soldier. Having killed Tony's parents, you would have had to fought him first. But they were leading you seemingly towards one of those, the Death Squad Winter Soldiers actually fighting, and you had 4 Avengers there. But they, for whatever reason, they probably wanted the twist.
Who knows, man? Maybe
money. I don't know.
My conspiracy theory is. Agent 13 still is a Winter Soldier.
Could still happen.
It's still in my mind.
Could still happen. What do you think, Dan? What would be your OMG moment?
I would say there's actually 2.
2?
The airport scene, of course, was definitely a thumbs up there. But I'd have to say that final battle between Bucky and Tony. Pivotal, and this is, you're talking to a kid who's a guy who's, as a kid, who was always caught up in the moment, like when Luke Skywalker got his hand cut off by Vader, or the $6 million man gets his bionics damaged. That one pivotal moment where they really go at it, and Tony ends up finally blowing Bucky's metallic arm off, his cyborg arm off. Yeah. That was like, whoa, he did it.
Yeah, that's that.
It was like
that threw a lot of people for a loop. Some people, and I wasn't sure what that was meant, because I don't think it was ever made of vibranium or anything. But was it in the comic? That's what I was trying to remember.
In the comic, I don't think it was, but I think what they're doing now, because I don't know if a lot of people caught it, but anytime that Bucky was fighting Black Panther, Black Panther was able to basically control the arm, and that would only really make sense if it was vibranium, because that's kind of Black Panther's thing.
That's what I thought too, and I was like, how did he blow it off then? It's like it's vibranium, for Pete's sake. Could he just blow through Cap's shield?
Maybe it's not that it's vibranium, it's just that Black Panther was able to control the cybernetics in his arm, whatever it may be. But that was definitely, my eyes opened very wide at that point.
That moment, I know, I was like, boom, like, he blew it right off. I was like, whoa.
It's just crazy.
That was impressive.
For me, I went, and he knew the spoilers leaked it a little bit, and I know in the toy and stuff, the Giant Man, obviously, when that came in there, that was like, for me, it's just like, okay, and then he's cleaning the house, and, and it's just adding, as to what Derek said, the fun aspect of it, just like Spider-Man was the, providing the funny moments for
us. Do you guys remember that old movie? Oh, God, that moment was so perfect.
Just great stuff with Paul Rudd, and just, I love the fight scene, obviously, there. And
we got Ant-Man riding on Hawkeye's arrow. They gave it away.
That was sweet.
They did give it away in the first trailer, but it was nice to see it finally.
Yeah, that was very cool. Yeah. So definitely, for me, I would love to have seen, like I said, with the Winter Soldiers, but it had its place. They were playing a different card. So, to just wrap this movie up, we're just rewatchability, just like, and it might be an easy one for all of us, but just rewatchability. Dan, what do you think?
I would watch it again.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm interested. I mean, one of the things that really grabbed me is they're already moving. One of the points we didn't go over was this is already moving in the pivotal point where Vision and Scarlet Witch's relationship is building. You could notice that. That was one thing that was
very cool.
Brought up,
That was a nice nod to longtime fans of Scarlet Witch and Vision. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was just remembering that right now.
How can you not rewatch that movie is my question.
And that's what I mean.
It's so fun. The thing is that they did such a good job at taking what is essentially a political intrigue, this is pretty highbrow, politics. This is global politics that they were able to take and then inject just very fun moments. All the scenes with Bucky and Falcon, like, can you move your seat up? No. It's like, it's so funny. Like, they were able to perfectly balance the heaviness of a global implications of destroying cities, and then still somehow keep it light and joking. Like, they did a very good job.
I think this.
And then that smiling moment after Cap kissed Sharon.
That was a great moment. Yeah, I think just great writing, and great direction by the Russo brothers. I mean, it's safe to say
Russo brothers, and then Kevin Feige is keeping it.
Yeah, Kevin Feige is holding it down.
Safe to say, or Derek Ross, that
totally
for you
rewatchable.
That's an easy one, I think, for all four of us. We're gonna all adopt Derek Ross's letter grade for this, right?
Yeah.
So just real quick to wrap it up, what do you give it, Michael?
I would give it A, not an A+, only because I didn't get to see Cap die. Only reason. Everything else was right. I mean,
the Team Tony here. He's Team Tony.
I mean,
wants to see that follow through.
It's a pivotal moment, and I was so excited to see it because I mean, there's been a lot of controversy with Chris Evans has wanted out of his contract, and I was like, this is a great way to do that.
That was the tease, I think, to fool you.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm a little upset, but they did a very good job.
Still got an A, Dan.
I would have to say give it an A+ because it just treads on the heels really well of Winter Soldier as a great comic book movie.
Yeah, agree. Derek, what do you think?
I would give it an A. Maybe not an A+. There were a couple of scenes, and maybe this is being nitpicky, but a couple of scenes that I felt the CG was a little bit underdone, and maybe they rushed it a little bit.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, it's a great movie, easily rewatchable.
Yeah.
I loved pretty much all the characters in it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. I can't give it anywhere near a B. It's like the only thing, if I did A-, which might be what it is just because I wanted to see him fight the Winter Soldiers really bad. I mean, I just thought it would be cool. I mean, it's just, I know that I thought about later. It's not the first thing I thought of when I was done with the movie. Obviously, I was happy. So it would still either, be A-, A, but it's still a great movie. How could you not love the movie where you got Avengers fighting Avengers and it'd be such a fun yet serious fight at the same time.
I guess another thing that I really could only say is you at the end of the movie you get the tease of Secret Avengers.
Yeah.
But I really don't know where they're gonna fit that. Where are they gonna fit that storyline in continuity with MCU? Like maybe the first Infinity Wars movie, but I think that was a bit much.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to head to our second and final station break. When we come back, we're going to discuss X-Men Apocalypse, and we'll do a little tease for the con, what's happening, for Saturday and stuff, which is associated with the show. We've been teasing Suicide Squad Saturday. We'll give you guys details on that and let you know what you can expect, too, from our issue 7 as well. So we're going to pay the bills here, do a final station break, and we'll be back with X-Men Apocalypse. The Comicasters team would like to thank Craig Best at thebeststation.net, home of the best station, the best music for the best audience, now featuring the best podcasts for the best audience. Without the help of the best station, we would simply not be the best. Comicasters would like to thank Craig Best and the best station. You are listening to the best station.
Long and tall, streets in the kitchen with a dude in the whole thing. I'm out of the red hot. Oh, she got to say love. And she got to say, oh, yeah. I'm out of the red hot. Yeah, she got to say love. I'm out of the red hot. Yeah, she got to say. You know, the monkey not a bad one playing the red. So the monkey's like a spin that old tough gas that way. I'm out of the red hot. Yeah, she got to say love. And she got to say, oh, yeah. I'm out of the red hot. Yeah, she got to say love. I'm out of the red hot. Oh, she got to say. She got 2 for new, got 4 for down. Boys, they more with it.
Wait, what's your name?
Danica.
Patrick.
Welcome to Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm Danica Patrick, and I'm going to be your Lyft driver for the day. Buckle up for safety.
Right.
You might need it. My boyfriend thinks I'm a horrible driver.
Why?
Because I don't follow the rules. I drive too fast. I ride too close. Gosh, come on, Light. I hate waiting. Ugh. But I love making lefts. I like left turns. Left, left, left. Sometimes I come around the corner here and I pretend like I'm crossing the finish line because it's.
I know, right?
And this.
That's your speed monitor.
I'm closing in on the car in front of me too fast.
And the car beeps.
And it beeps and has red lights that show up. My normal car does not have any of that. In fact, closing rates are encouraged. Should we race him? Let's try and beat him off the line. I think this guy knows who he's up against. When it turns yellow, we'll really
How'd
get
you
her.
do that?
Really? Oh, I'm 2-footing it. Come on. Come on. I think we even got a little wheel spin there. Dude, watch this. Is that fun? Is that like how you wish your rides could be? Well, I do that for a living, so it's safe.
Do you really?
Yeah.
You're not, man.
I am.
Are you really? No way.
This is crazy.
So cool.
All right. The brakes are smelling and the tires are smelling, which means I've definitely beat them by a lot.
Tracy to kids. Tracy to kids. Come in, kids. Come in, kids.
And we are back on Comicasters issue 6 with our great special guests, Michael, Dan, this MC here along with Derek. Derek has a quick story. We're just laughing because we didn't tell, I don't think we gave Black Panther his due because obviously he's going to be leading into his own movie. We loved, I think it's safe to say we all loved his portrayal in the film, as Dan was saying and stuff.
That suit. That suit is beautiful.
It was very cool.
Love to have a suit like that.
Very cool.
I mean,
Vibranium, all vibranium.
Yeah.
Come on.
So I had a friend who went to an event and he got some comic book art, and so he picked up this Black Panther print and he brought it back and he says to me, "Hey Ben, you love comics, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." And so he says, "Well, what do you think about this Batman print?" And I was like, "What?" It was totally Black Panther, and to this day, I haven't told him that Batman doesn't have claws, but it was pretty great, and I don't know if I ever will tell him. But yeah, Black Panther did an amazing job here.
So you probably, when you see Black Panther, you'll always think of that story.
Oh, absolutely,
film,
yeah.
Especially
Every
everything. That's funny. We're going to head right into the meat of the movie that just came out this past weekend, X-Men Apocalypse. So we're going to get some thoughts very similar to what we just went with Civil War. So plot and cast, jumping right into it. Michael, what did you think?
So I liked it.
Yeah.
I don't think I could say I loved it.
Yeah.
Screenplay wise, it was good. I liked the plot was very good. They paced it very well. It didn't feel rushed and it didn't feel like they were cramming too much in. My issue was, I wouldn't even say some, I would say a lot of the dialogue was very cheesy. There are very few moments, or there are very few movies I've ever seen with Michael Fassbender. He's an amazing actor. I cannot speak highly enough of Michael Fassbender, but the scene where his family dies and he's like on his knees and like yelling up to God, like, "Is this who I am? Is this what I've become?" Yeah. It's just like, it was cringeworthy almost, because I'm like, this is so over the top, like yelling to no one, and it's like Michael Fassbender couldn't even make those lines good. Yeah. But as far as the entire movie goes, it was so well done. It was so 90s. Or 80s. It was like 90s, 80s. Jubilee, I don't think they gave enough credit to.
Seemed almost out of place.
Yeah, she got her mall scene, but that's about it. I think as far as Cyclops goes, they made Scott perfectly hateable.
redeemed a little bit from X3.
Yeah,
thankfully.
I mean, I've always disliked Cyclops, but in this way, they made him like, yeah, he's a douchebag, but like also he's still a good guy.
Wish Colt Hudson was here to be a Cyclops defender.
Yeah, I'm not a huge. He annoys me. Who else? Let's see. Nightcrawler was amazing.
Yes.
I don't remember that kid's name, but he was really good.
Olivia Munn is Psylocke, young.
Yeah, Olivia Munn
She
definitely.
actually, for not being,
Very few lines.
She's not, she didn't have too much, but she wasn't the cast as the Asian, but she still looked great as Psylocke. I mean, for actually not be, Asian, but she actually, she looked like she came right out of the comic, which in most cases, in most X-Men films, they have different outfits and stuff. They did stay true to hers.
Poe Dameron did a great job as Apocalypse.
Oscar Isaacs.
Yeah, Oscar Isaacs he did a phenomenal job. I swore to before I walked in, I was like, I'm not going to be able to not see Poe. I'm not going to be, but he did a very good job. He commanded the screen when he was on it, and he made that death seem worth it.
Yeah.
Like, and like Sansa Stark, like coming up and just exploding Phoenix out. It was powerful, it was very powerful. As far as like fun action, it was definitely fun to watch.
Very, very actiony.
Just
fraught with action. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of movies in recent history with quite that much action. It's just seemed like a fight scene or a chase scene or something almost every moment, which, I mean, follows the X-Men because they're always being attacked by something, or attacking something. I did really like the plot. It was good. It followed well. I personally felt, in opposition to the previous movie we were looking at with Civil War, I feel like there were almost too many characters to follow. It seemed to me as though it was a little bit short on character development. Like Psylocke, I would have liked to seen
Angel.
Angel
did nothing.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I drink a lot and now I'm dead.
Don't forget Storm. Storm had
a little bit more, though. I think.
Because you actually got to see her as like a
the street rat.
Yeah, exactly.
That she was in Egypt. Yeah. Right.
But I would have liked to have seen both Angel and Psylocke developed a little bit more.
That seems to be a common, complaint from some fans. I mean, it's just, I think, like I said, it's packed with a lot of characters.
Yeah.
Some of them, unfortunately, suffer,
Yeah. At least it wasn't a minority that got snubbed. It was.
Oh, right.
It was a very white male.
Yeah, exactly.
Rich boy with wings.
White trash.
He wasn't even a rich boy. I'm very
not a movie. Yeah.
He was just
confused.
He was a Jack Daniels swigging boy.
And it's like a British,
a little punk.
Punk rock. What do you think, Dan? What plot cast? What stuff?
Great. It was a unique twist to actually finally go with the enemy of all enemies, pretty much. The time period in which it was set one, very unique. I mean, going back to the 80s, which is really cool.
Yeah. Music-wise.
Music-wise, it was great. I mean, you're getting back. For someone who's grown up in the 80s, it's very nostalgic.
Yeah.
I enjoyed all the characters. I mean, but I was looking forward to Olivia Munn. I mean, just a little, but anyway. But I think in totality, though, what I was most impressed with that became my character favorite was the performance of Quicksilver.
Yes. Oh yeah,
Quicksilver was awesome.
He was. They one-upped it. It's a good segue into the OMG. It's like they one-upped what they did, which you didn't think they could.
Oh yeah,
Magneto.
They took
Escape.
the
They did it in this one.
The original Magneto Escape, where they did the Time in the Bottle by Jim Croce, and then that was humorous. Yeah. And then they went with the Eurythmics Sweet Dreams while he's going through the whole mansion, rescuing the kids.
Uniquely cool is that they did show time elapsing. It's not like everything was froze. They showed it, and as he did it, he saved another character.
Because eventually time,
explosions was moving. Back. He wasn't all powerful as some people complain. They did it, I think, in a good way.
Which I think was also important when he was facing up against Apocalypse. Yeah. Because, he's gotten to the point where he's felt like he's almost there at all powerful status. Like, I can outrun anything.
That leg break was gruesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That leg break.
His eyes turning white, and you're like,
oh, yes, something's gonna go down for sure. Yeah.
And that was it. Like, that was our hope.
Yeah, well, you had
Before
to see.
Phoenix was, released.
Yeah, I think what the thing was that, like, and if you look at the comic book movies that do, I want to say fail, it's not really the right word, fail to me maybe, but the ones that do struggle are the ones that don't have a strong villain. If you don't have a great antagonist for your heroes, the movie suffers, and it was good to see in this X-Men film. You knew clearly Apocalypse, you knew of him if you have any X-Men knowledge, but you know what he's trying to do. You know what he's building. They showed he had his empire at the beginning, and it was a great setup for that. And you know what Apocalypse in his name, what he's bringing, and that's what it was nice to see that played off of. The X-Men had someone they can sink their teeth into and fight, and was huge for this movie. I think just like. You need that. I mean, I would say OMG for me. Obviously, the Phoenix was huge.
That was a surprise right there.
Yeah.
You didn't think she was going to go all out Phoenix at the end, and she did. She tapped into that power already off the get-go right there from that first thing.
For me, I think though, to go back to what I didn't expect and didn't see spoiled was just the Psylocke with the blades in front of both, I think it was Storm and Apocalypse. Didn't see that because never spoiled that. I was like, damn, that's Psylocke. That's one of my favorite X-Men characters, and she's no fear. She's right up in their faces, and obviously she didn't know who she was up against, but that was pretty cool, that visual to see. She's got the blade right up against Apocalypse's throat, and and it was just for me that was cool because it wasn't spoiled. I had seen that Quicksilver scene actually before the film even released, but obviously that aside, loving that was for me. Surprise for me at least. I don't know what you.
Yeah. As far as
what would you say, Mike?
before I do an OMG moment, something that is really interesting to talk about is now that they've pretty much. I mean, I think they said it in the last movie too, but now that they've pretty much solidified that Magneto is Quicksilver's father in this, it seems almost like a power play from Fox because they're basically saying you can't merge what we've done now with the MCU if they even ever get those rights back.
But they've already played into it because while they destroyed Quicksilver and AOU, they did the same thing with Scarlet Witch in X-Men Apocalypse. She never got to fully develop into a woman.
Well, they never actually showed the girl in the house with Quicksilver. She was completely missing.
Yeah. Right, but I think what they intended. Remember, she was calling animals.
That was a different daughter, though. That was Nina. I think they called her. I thought that was going to be Lorna Dane, but
I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be Scarlet Witch. That's what I thought.
No, Scarlet Witch was. I think she was the one that talked to Wolverine in Days of Future Past, and was like, I forget the line she asked.
Yeah, but because she's supposed to be the daughter of Magneto.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
She was not seen in this one. They just didn't show her. Which.
As far as OMG moments, definitely for me, even though it was a post-credits tease, I was beside myself with elation when I saw the Essex.
Yeah.
So that means we're definitely getting a Mr. Sinister.
Yeah.
And from what I gathered, the reason that...
X-23.
Yeah, for sure X-23, and I cannot wait.
That will be cool.
She is one of my favorite X-Men of all time.
Yeah, that would be cool to see her on film, for sure.
And let's just talk about for a second the Wolverine scene.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I mean, it was spoiled in the last trailer. Unfortunately, I really wish they would have.
Hugh Jackman in it. It was just all him yelling.
And the way they wrapped up that continuity, where it turns out that young Jean Grey is the one that wiped his mind and gave him only a tiny bit to send him into the snow.
That was brilliant.
That was so well done.
I don't know if she had wiped her mind or she brought back.
She brought back
memories
a
to help
memories.
save them. A little bit of give them a
tiny bit, and that's literally what leads into the first X-Men movie. So
that was nice. That was a nice.
That they already ventured into Alkali Lake. I mean, but you got to remember, Days of Future Past totally wiped out the previous continuum. So everything pretty much.
So how did that was my one confusion part, because obviously Mystique was Stryker when they fished him out of the lake. So how did real Stryker get him? Unless she was just trying to get him on the path to get his animanium. I don't know, but she had to somehow switch places with real Stryker at some point. That was never explained.
Either kept Stryker out of Stryker may have been out of the picture at that moment, and she just popped in and just
maybe
impersonated
tried to nudge
Yeah.
him back
Yeah.
into it. Yeah, I don't know,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was a little.
That's
that
what I thought
one
was
thing that didn't
confusing
really
too, yeah.
Explain enough. I mean, you know, that other than that, yeah, you have to mention the Wolverine obviously in it because that was awesome scene. What do you think, OMG, for you, Derek?
Well, I definitely think the leg break for Quicksilver.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like, holy. Because, you know, I've come to appreciate, especially in the last Magneto movie, you know, you enjoy Quicksilver, you know, dancing around. It almost appears to me like I mean, that would be almost a superpower I'd like to have because you can just live life forever, really, and speed it up and slow it down whenever you want. And then you see him just succeeding, like, to go through the entire house and rescue every single person, even the dog, so that he can
And
eat
get a
piece
sip of
pizza.
soda.
Yeah, exactly. To go through all of that. And
Gotta
to
love
be able
that
to do that.
tab pull.
Yes.
Right. And
I'm a '90s kid, and I'm surprised I know what that is. I know a lot of, I know, like, I saw it with a few friends my age, and they were like, "What's tab?"
It was
And I'm like,
literally covered in 80s
Yeah,
pop
it
culture.
was
Atari T-shirt. He had his cast with all kinds of
Knight Rider on the TV.
Knight Rider, and then he also had I Love Rush
Yeah, I
on
mean,
the cast.
they go to see Return of the Jedi,
Yeah.
and criticize it.
Oh my God, that meta joke where Jean Grey's like, I guess we can all agree that the third's always the worst, which I believe is in reference to X-Men Last Stand
Hopefully
being
the Last
terrible.
Stand, yes.
It was so bad.
That was when somebody surprising with
Every third of the Marvel trilogy somehow cracks it. I mean, Spider-Man 3, Blade Trinity
God.
had the mixed
Iron Man
review.
3. Oh,
I didn't hate Iron Man 3,
yeah, very
honestly.
Disney kid.
Oh, for sure.
Kid,
It was
yeah.
Blade 3. I always watch it because out of just boredom, but I find it anticlimactic.
Yeah,
but it's fun. But it's fun. Yeah.
Movie.
I mean,
But
either like or you didn't like the Mandarin,
Yeah.
Mandarin twist. That's,
Well, I just like that.
I'm
I
a
think
teacher.
that that's going off the reservation a bit,
Yeah.
but I think that I don't know the Mandarin not being Asian. I think was kind of trying to avoid the stereotype of like that. Oh, it's clearly it's just the old Asian guy, which also kind of leaves open the possibility for another real Mandarin.
he was such a
Yeah.
cool villain up until the reveal,
But
though. That
there
was
is-
like, oh, why
therein
did
was
you
a
do it?
flaw
You're
in that film.
Please.
Was that-
Therein was a flaw in that film. If
there's
you
a
read
lot
the
of flaws.
original, the original Extremist arc had Tony taking Extremis
Yeah.
to battle. What's his name? Not
Pepper.
Pepper. Yeah.
I'm
Much
okay
like-
with Pepper being taken out. I do not like. And this is an unpopular opinion. I love Tony Stark, but I do not like Pepper and Tony. Honestly, as a couple.
He's great as a jerk playboy.
He's great as a jerk playboy, but
couldn't play him really
also, they kind of touched on it in Iron Man 2. Like they tried as much as they could do an alcoholic movie. Like they tried to touch on his self-destructive tendencies.
They glazed
not
over
in a
that.
Disney
Yeah, they
movie, though.
glazed over it exactly, and I don't know. I'm a fan of Tony being a playboy, yes, and even in like the current comics, he has a new love interest, but she's a rival to him. She's not just some pretty blonde girl who, yeah, sure, she can like manage the company, but she doesn't rival him intellectually. And I think if they introduce a love interest for him in the MCU, it needs to be a female who, make Tony Stark gay, but it needs to be someone who rivals him intellectually.
Yeah, I think much like Thor: Dark World, I thought was like Jane Foster, The Dark World. I thought like Iron Man 3 was Pepper Potts' Iron Man, and because she's saving the day at the end too. And not that this is like bad, but like at the end of the day though, this is Iron Man. I'm coming to see, not Pepper Potts. I want a Thor movie, not Jane Foster, Dark World. So, and those, like we were saying, a lot of it's like you get to that point, what are they going to do differently? And sometimes, the third movie, in most cases, not in Thor, but in the third movie, it suffers. But in this one, obviously the second and the third, third trilogy, obviously, if we're counting it from First Class on, this has been a lot better, I think, franchise for the X-Men.
Yeah,
to get back on this one, just rewatchability. What do you guys think?
I would watch it again.
I would watch it again. I mean, it's not like it was a bad movie. Like I'm gonna obviously watch it again with Days of Futures Past and First Class before whatever next one they come out with. But
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't be a go-to for me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like, oh, I haven't watched it in a while. I feel like I need to watch it again.
Yeah, I definitely would like to see it again for sure. Letter grade though, go back to Derek. What do you think? What would you give it?
I would probably give it a B.
Yeah.
So overall, I did enjoy it, and I came out of the movie entertained, and I think that's the point of any movie.
Yeah.
And I really liked the parts with Quicksilver, and it's funny. I like the parts without Apocalypse. I find that I don't even think about Apocalypse half of the time when I'm thinking of the movie. So, you were saying he is a strong villain, and that's great, but I enjoyed the character development apart from him. So, I would say probably a B. I'll answer for Colt too. He loved it. He just couldn't stop talking about it, and we're not friends anymore. No, but
what did you do with it?
Yeah,
come on, Derek, tell us.
But yeah, he would definitely give it an A.
Yeah. What do you think, Dan?
I would say a B+. I mean, there were areas there that were kind of soft trodden, but I absolutely loved Quicksilver's approach in the whole film. I mean, the whole scene with the rescue in the mansion it was a show stealer.
Yeah.
It was a practical show stealer. I mean, that would be the one reason why you would watch it again.
Yeah.
He's got the best comic relief of the entire thing, and then if you're like an 80s culture fan, I mean, you just watch it to get a good laugh and some nostalgia out of
A
it.
question for you guys real quick. Do you think Magneto knew that Quicksilver was his son? Or
No.
No, I don't think so at all.
Yeah, I
It was
kinda
only
got the
Quicksilver
feeling
had
maybe
the
he did.
inkling.
That's why he saved
Yeah.
him. But maybe he was just, that was his conscience and stuff. But maybe in the back of his mind, I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
interesting you guys said that.
from what I was seeing, it looked like his facial expression was saying, "Why are you telling me you've got family? Like, why would I give a rip?"
Yeah. That's what I thought. Maybe in the back of his mind, he's figuring, why is this guy up here?
Yeah.
And maybe it's, maybe somehow he knew, and maybe it was a sense,
Yeah.
What do you think for your grade, Michael?
Grade-wise, I mean, I give it a solid B. Just when you have an all-star cast with Michael Fassbender, you have Sophie Turner, you have Evan Peters, you have James McAvoy, you have so many great actors at your disposal, and there are still scenes where, I mean, I mentioned the melodramatic scene with Michael Fassbender that made me cringe. There's the scene when James McAvoy is in like the dreamscape with Apocalypse, and if you watch that scene and then go watch like Harry Potter, like it's incredible how similar those scenes are. Yeah, it's just like the writing could have been so much better. Like, and the actors still did beautifully.
Yeah,
I forgot to mention, Michael, there was one point to that element that made me laugh about that scene, because when I would watch it, I would see James McAvoy call out in terror when he'd be grabbing him like that. I was like, "Come here, my little man," and I just laughed to myself watching that scene in my mind, and I couldn't help but just laugh about it. So.
Yeah, everything about that movie I thought was great, except there were many points where the writing was, it's like laughably cheesy, and I don't think that's what they were going for. Like if they had gone that route, I would have been totally okay with like a cheesy 80s X-Men film, but that's clearly not, I think, what they were going for.
I think I probably got lost maybe in the emotion, like what you're saying, of the Fassbender scene, just of his conflict of why, because there's so much pain in there, because it was portrayed in him. Maybe not so much a dialogue, because I see what you're saying for sure, but he quickly turned vicious and used that charm and got, those soldiers were dispatched immediately.
I just think that scene, it didn't need that much dialogue. I think that scene would have been so much better if he just held them and just angrily cried, and without saying a word just uses the locket to kill them. I think in that case, fewer words would have been more impactful for me.
It was definitely action. It was definitely action, not words, what he did right there. He just went...
Yeah. And that was beautiful. I just, the shouting to God with his fist in the air was just over the top. Yeah,
I got to give it an A, because I would be on board with Colt. I think my connection to the X-Men, more so than an Avengers, meant like it was finally great to see them this many X-Men in a great action-packed film against a good villain, all in one, and to see that, and then to have favorite characters like a Psylocke in it and stuff. Maybe
Caliban
was interesting, but
gotta get them Morlocks.
Yeah, his connection to Apocalypse and becoming a Horseman later. I didn't like Havoc's fate, but I knew they had to dispatch of him. I think that was obvious.
That was
by
sad
the
to
trailer.
kill off Havoc all of a
Yeah,
sudden so soon like
because he was older. Some people were saying, "Oh, he was too old for the film." Then for 20 years or whatever it passed, but I'm like, I Havoc, Bishop, Psylocke 3, and Wolverine. Yeah, that one would be my 4 who I'd build an X-Men. But I knew he was done for. I knew his age out of place in what they were building. He's not in the following X-Men films. Doesn't mean I've never seen a body. But, at this point in juncture, you have to say, okay, right now Havoc is not in play, and they had to dispatch of him. But, I would still say, just because just being an X-Men fan, this was close to as good a movie as I've seen from them. I love First Class.
I think First Class is honestly probably my favorite X-Men film.
Yeah, but this has wrapped it up, for Singer, if he's going to be involved with the next one, I don't know. But I think this was really well done. So definitely A for me, so... we're going to wrap the show up. We'll give a quick preview of just what's going on Saturday for Comicasters and what we're involved in. We'll tease next show. So I believe hopefully we'd love for you guys to return if we're recording issue 7 tomorrow. That's going to be the tentative plan. But in that one, we'll be following the Suicide Squad panel, which will be exciting. So we'll kind of give our thoughts of the upcoming movie. We didn't get a chance to talk to it on this show, but DC Rebirth we're going to try to do on that show as well and give a heavy thoughts on that first issue and what Jeff Johns and DC Comics is building now. And we're going to get into meat of that too, so it should be a lot of fun. So just a little preview too. Just Saturday we're going to Comicasters building to #SSS, #Suicide Squad Saturday. 4 of us, Derek is laughing, 4 of us going to be dressed as Suicide Squad members. We're going to have Captain Boomerang, Deadshot, El Diablo, and Harley Quinn will make his debut on Saturday. So that's a little teaser for you guys if you see it. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be taking a lot of pictures. We'll hopefully be for that 1:30, I think, on the steps picture. We try to get together for that, see a lot of the great fans and stuff, and hopefully interact well with them. So that should be a lot of fun. So that's what the Suicide Squad Saturday will be all about. So we're excited on that. A lot of fun. As always, we can be reached at Comicasters, Facebook.com/Comicasters, on the beststation.net where our shows are archived. Just want to thank both Mike and Dan for being here. Mike, why don't you plug your Twitter?
My Twitter
Michael.
is it's fine. My Twitter is at PVBeerSnob. And if you're ever in the Phoenix area and you're looking to pick up some comics, feel free to stop by Critical Threat Comics and Games. Highly recommended.
Yes, give a follow to at PVBeerSnob. Michael Bernstein, thank you for joining us.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Yes, you bet. Dan Quiroga, where can you be reached on Twitter?
Okay, I can be reached at Doc B. Banner. That's at DOCBBANNER. I will be featuring on sometime soon on Geeks Rising, where I'll be featuring a weekly to bi-weekly sentiment on the best in old school anime.
Awesome. Look forward to it. Derek, as always, we appreciate you coming back and joining us. Please let Colt Hudson out of wherever you're keeping him. So we're great to have you back and stuff. So we want to thank both of you guys for being here. Hopefully, maybe on issue 7, maybe join us. If not, maybe a future issue, we'll love to have you guys back on anytime. We'd love to have you here tonight. So we want to thank all you fans for listening. It's been fun here on Comicasters issue 6, and we had fun giving you guys our thoughts and stuff. So we thank you all. Hopefully, wherever you're at, being safe. If you're listening to this and enjoying the Phoenix Comic-Con here as we are, hopefully it's a lot of fun for you as we are here and enjoying ourselves here. So have a happy and safe Phoenix Comic-Con 2016, and we appreciate it. Thank you to our guests here as well.
Thank you.
And we will see you next time. This has been a presentation of The Best Station. The best music for the best audience. TheBestStation.net.